What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue Podcast. I'm your host, Brett. I got Chris, the artist formerly known as Heavy C. I got Tanner, the head. Matt is not here today. We have our show partners, Elite Nutrition. Check them out at elitenutritionomaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off. Go to the store in Omaha or Lincoln and yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
We also have Rosewood Block to make the best cutting boards in barbecue. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use B3 at checkout for 10% off there as well. Kind of got ahead of myself there.
Did your headphones cut out? Or you might not be able to move very much.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
Is it me?
It might be you.
Okay.
I don't know. We also have Omaha Barbell, the real Midwest Mecca, where we always record from. Majority of the time.
No discount code.
No discount code there. We do have a guest today. We have former UNL thrower Kevin Shubert. What's up, man?
Oh, nothing too much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I met Kevin during COVID. So that was the summer of 2020. You were in here.
Yep.
We had limited number of people that can come in. We had to do 10 at a time.
That was so stupid.
It was so fucking terrible.
Yep. Line up and sit on the curb waiting to get that next spot in line.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd let 10 in, and then they had an hour, and then we tell them they had to leave so we could let more people in. And I just remember it was like the first time I met you, and you were like, hey, can you come spot me? And I was like, yeah, what are you doing? It was like 550 or something like that for a triple on squat. And I was like, I don't know this fucking kid. And it's just me. He just takes it out. He just takes it out like no real setup or anything. Just all crazy. Takes it out, just does all three. And then he's like, all right, thanks. And I was like, God damn it. That kid's strong.
Did you ask your normal question when someone asks you to spot?
No, after that is when I developed that question. Now, if somebody asks me to spot him, I always say, are you going to get it? Because I don't want to have to do any work.
So there's a lot of pressure on the person. Like,
hey, man, dude, some people are bad lifters with spotters. Like they just like, oh, I'm not getting. I'm just gonna like walk away from this, or I'm gonna like whatever. They don't like try to help.
They like kill their spotter.
Yeah,
I've seen my lifting coach at Nebraska. He's had to catch barbells off kids. Like a lot of times, if like jumpers, throwers typically have a lot of experience in the weight room, but you'll see a lot of like elite sprinters and stuff like that never really lifted before, and they'll be doing a bench press max, and instead of just sticking down or like they're losing it towards the way up, they'll just drop the bar and they'll have to catch the bar. One of my other friends who was we had like lifting interns, and they would come in and kind of spot some of the younger kids, or if they're real experienced, they'll kind of help the throwers out and like load the bar and that type of fun stuff. But I've seen them on like even cleans or snatches try to catch it and it goes wrong, and they'll have to try to like prevent it from bouncing off stuff. People have caught squats where they start falling back and caught the bar off them and pulled the bar off, and they just fall on the ground and roll over.
It's terrifying.
This just really shows how elite a Division I athlete really is.
Yeah, no, it's kind of humbling for them, where you see them doing all this really great stuff, and then you see them, max out 225 back squat. Oh, there it goes.
maybe they should do like a beginner's course on how to bail out.
Weightlifting 101. I always said that you should learn how to bail.
Yeah, you should learn how to bail out.
Knowing how to lift and knowing how to bail are both very important.
Yeah. Well, I'd say so.
Yeah.
And if you have a spotter, you have to bail differently because you can't just bail on your spotter.
Yeah, I always say like don't give up on the bar.
Yeah.
Like they'll help you, but they're only there to help you like 20-30%.
Yeah.
Like talking like that, like, and you being in that level, how much do you think a lot of Division I athletes is just like, because I've known like some very talented people that are super like lazy when it comes to, but it's just like so much God-given talent. Do you think do you see a lot of that there? Where it's like you said, the sprinters who are in the weight room, like you have some people who have to like train consistently to keep that speed or to get faster. And then you have people who are just like naturally like freaks.
It's honestly like a weird mixture of everything. Well, you'll have someone who's as hardcore of they track all their macros. They do a lot of macro timing where they need to eat a certain amount of certain different things before and after practice. They need to do like this pre-practice routine in the training room where they need to get massaged out a certain way and all this other very specifics. And it's just very detail oriented. And then you'll have people walk in wearing their little Adidas slides. They'll just lay on the bench, do a couple, do a little twist or something, and That's if no one noticed them come in late or they kind of squeak in. They kind of take care of business and they're just out of there. And then they'll turn around a couple days later and go set a personal best and just like the most like casual thing ever. And then you have the kids who are screaming at the bar and doing. You see a lot of half reps and stuff like that too, but it's all sorts of things. Just a big blend.
So what got you started in throwing? Did you play football at all? Did you just go to throwing first? Is that all you did?
So I was actually I was a lot skinnier back then, but I was a basketball guy and baseball. That was my two main things growing up. And then 7th grade is when you could start track. And one of my dad's really good friends from work, his son just set the school record in discus at Miller North. And my dad was like, "Oh, he's a big guy. You're gonna be a big guy. You might like this." And I always was fascinated with throwing stuff. I always liked playing outfield in baseball or pitcher where I could just throw stuff as hard as I could. Or there's actually like a home video type thing of camping up in Idaho when I was little. And it's like a little video of my sister throwing a rock. And you turn around, here I am trying to pick up a giant stone and throw it in the water. And I've always just really enjoyed it. And so I started throwing shot put in middle school, after school. I was really laid back. The coach was more just a babysitter. You just making sure no one hits each other. Just kind of sit in a bucket, eat some sunflower seeds, have a good time. And a lot of my friends all did it with me. And so it became like a little fun, like social event for 7th grade, you know. And, I just really started enjoying it then. And coming into high school, I was hot stuff. I was the district champion in 8th grade out of the little Millard schools.
Nice.
And so that motivated me that I wanted to throw my freshman year. And then a couple of my friends did it as well my freshman year. And that's when I knew I liked it. I still played basketball. I didn't play football until my sophomore year. But my sophomore year is when I ended up meeting the right people. I had a mutual friend. You actually met him at the gym a couple weeks ago, Joe.
Yep.
His next door neighbor, he threw a little bit, but his son had the school record at Miller North, and he was way older than I was. But Joe kind of bridged that gap and was like, "Oh, you like throwing? My neighbors have like their son threw, and the dad coaches and is actually one of the beat officials at Nebraska, and they invited me to join their track club." And the track club was just me, his daughter, his other daughter. We got my sister to do it and a couple of like the neighbor kids. And that's when I started club track, and I started winning more and more meets. And I ended up getting second place at Junior Olympic Nationals for my age group. And that's when the wheels started turning of, this might be like, I might have a future in this.
Was that just shot or shot and disc?
Just shy. I wasn't allowed to throw discus at that point. I threw it backwards at practice, and it almost hit someone, and they wouldn't let me throw it for a couple of years. But
I think that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, because it's not like there's a handle.
Yeah.
And if you're just don't really know what you're doing, kind of hold it the wrong way, try to wind back and let go, and looks like you're done throwing discus. But no, it wasn't up until like that point where I was one of those, I had interest in it, but it wasn't like, I guess it's not as common that you see someone wake up, in elementary school, "I'm going to be a shot putter someday, Dad."
Yeah.
That doesn't really ever happen unless you're Ryan Krause, world record holder, who grew up with it and that whole environment. But, I feel like it's pretty common. You just have like one little event, you're like either figure out like, oh, I have a future in this, or you just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I kind of had a little blend of that.
So you threw for Millard North, and then so you played football your sophomore year.
Yep.
But you didn't play junior and senior year?
No.
Was it just you were like didn't want the risk of injury for track?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I would assume that, you're at this point, you're not a small kid at this point.
No, going into my junior year, I was probably like 6'3", 275. And then I believe I ran around a 4.4 that spring of my sophomore year at our little gym class weightlifting 40 time we did. 4.8. Sorry, I don't know if I just said 4.4. That's completely false. I did not run a 4.4. But,
my wheels were like, oh shit.
Yeah, no.
I just he's moving.
Yeah, it felt like 4.4, maybe more like 5.4. I don't know, but no, one of those. I felt good. I was excited. I did like all the football stuff in the summer. I knew I was done with basketball. Just didn't see you can't be a 6'3" center in college. It doesn't really work that way. and I wasn't really money from anywhere besides the free throw line and under the basket. So, just one of those. I never really grew up in a football household. Like we would watch it, but it was never pressured on me to play. And the coaches weren't exactly thrilled. I missed 2 days of summer practice to go to nationals. They actually made me squat like a max out the day before nationals.
Oh, just because they were pissed?
Yeah.
That's kind of an asshole move.
Yeah, I'd say so. But no, and then I ended up having like a muscle imbalance or hurting my hip. Like I had like a little hip flexor strain, and I was looking to be the starting right tackle for a left-handed quarterback that year. And then I hurt my hip, and I knew it was wrong because I kept like clicking when I would get out of my stance. And then all of a sudden, I was quick, so I was able to block the linebacker right away for a little like toss to the outside. And then all of a sudden, whenever my right leg would step forward, it would have a little hitch. And then I was like a half step slower, and I was missing my blocks, and I knew something was wrong. And it was just a little simple muscle imbalance, but then it made me really evaluate, like, if I just had all this success, I know I really enjoy throwing. What if, or if I'm playing defense, if I get a chop block to the knee and I blow my ACL out, that was one thing I was really concerned about, and the school wasn't going to provide the super knee braces. And so I finished the summer out, and it just, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I had to get a lot stronger, and I felt like that was preventing me from really focusing on strength training. And so I told the coaches I was done. And
How'd that go over? Like a turd in a punch bowl?
they told me to think about it, and they wouldn't let me quit for like weeks. So I would just suit up and just stand there. Like, yeah. So it was a little odd looking back at it, but I'm a people pleaser, and back then, you still have to learn how to say no. I feel like that's one of the steps becoming a man is you have to be able to tell people no, and
It's a good lesson to learn.
that's what I believe. And so one of those like we want you to think about it, and then you don't want to disappoint. Like, okay, I'll think about it, but it wasn't until they started like distributing my gear around the team. I remember coming back from a game, and I realized that my helmet was gone, and they replaced it with someone else's helmet, and I opened up my locker to give my pads to someone else. And once I started messing with my stuff, and they were all like your hip's hurting, you can't play, it's okay. And so they were doing like pulling that act, and they made me be the scout team fullback, and I was still faster than the little slow D tackles, and so they'd make me walk so I can go get blown up every play. And so then at that point, I'm like, okay, I have a real future in track. I enjoy track a lot more. I really want to just learn more about lifting because we had no technique. I lifted in basketball shoes. I squatted on my toes. I didn't even have my heels down. I got down maybe 10 degrees, and that's being generous. One of those, I didn't really know what I was doing lifting. I knew I had to get a lot stronger, and that's why I just kind of pulled the plug with that, and we went all in on track.
Wow. I mean, that's impressive. Most young kids can't figure that out or don't have the courage to be like, I'm just going to play one sport. And I think parents are part of that too, though. They want them to play every sport.
Yeah, I've been really lucky that my parents have been very supportive on what I want to do, and they never once try to force me into doing a sport. They would force me to, if I was mad, like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, the first 2 weeks of conditioning for something, like, oh, this sucks, I don't want to play this anymore. They would say you can't just quit. But in that circumstance, they felt that it would be best for my future. And I never even had the goal of going Division I or going to Nebraska. It was one of those, I wanted to throw 60 feet. I thought that would be just phenomenal because the best thrower my freshman and sophomore only threw 59 feet in the state. And I really wanted to chase that goal, and everything else just kind of came with. And all I could see was football. That was time off from reps. And I vividly remember one day of practice, like my last practices of, scout team fullback, getting blown up and not playing because my hips were bugging me. I saw my friends out throwing discus without me. And you just look over, and they were listening to music. It looked relaxing, and they're throwing discus, and then here I am just getting knocked over all the time. And that's when I was, one of those had enough, and I'm like, okay, I think I know what I want to do now. And it was definitely risky. It had a lot of little setbacks. They made me lift with the baseball team at school at that point because I wasn't a football player. So that kind of was
The strongest guy in the room.
Yeah, that was kind of a punishment. They
Sounds like those coaches sucked over there. They were real selfish, and they did not have your best interest
No.
in line, and they did not.
Well, when you're
They needed you more than you needed them, obviously.
well, when you're a high school coach and you see a big kid
Yeah.
who's fast, you're like, I need him on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And then
came-
they just become little assholes about it.
Yeah, it started from my freshman year. I made state track, like, oh, you're gonna play, and they were really supportive. And then as soon as I hurt my hip, and I think they could see that I was really getting interested in track.
Yeah.
And I think they weren't very thrilled about that. But no, it was one of those. It was a little rough. I kind of button heads in the hallway. Like, if they wouldn't talk to me, I wouldn't talk to them. But by my senior year, we could joke in the hallway. And once, like, I won state my junior year after that. And so, like, once things like that happened, they kind of were like, okay, this guy is just not a little lazy bum who doesn't want to be here.
Yeah.
So,
So what? When did you hit 60 feet?
district track my junior year. So I actually, my PR my sophomore year of high school was 50 feet. And then pretty much I quit football like that beginning of like the fall. And I was just lifting in the weight room with just like other like kids who weren't doing sports that just wanted to lift while football was gone. And they were like, oh, we got to do this and do that. And we had to lift and like use your back. And I was like, I thought you didn't lift with your back. That's not good. And I was scared to do rows because, you know, that's your back. You don't want to hurt your back. So like, that just shows like my knowledge I had my junior year of lifting. And I had a math teacher I really admired that went to Omaha Barbell. And I went to his classroom after school, and I told him that, all right, I just quit football. You're a really strong guy. He's been always really nice, like throwing, always talked to me. I really admired him. And I told him, like, can you write me a program? And so he introduced me to the 531 program.
Sure.
And
Well,
then
Jim Windler.
Yep. And so I actually have that program. He wrote it with red ink on a scrap piece of paper. I have it still. It's in one of my throwing manuals, actually. And it was a 531 program, 4 weeks long, with week 4 being a deload. We made some adjustments to make it a little applicable for throwing. And just like little basic run through. And I went and got a YMCA membership to go lift because I was not really allowed to lift anymore at school because they were putting me in the corner of the baseball team. And then that's when kind of the whole dream started. And then I was going there at 5 o'clock in the morning before school, throwing after school. UNL had track camps for throwers hosted by like some of their athletes and like their assistant coach. So I would drive to Lincoln every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday from November to February my junior year.
Wow.
Just it was inside, and they had some good coaches that were able to like give me more technical feedback because at Miller North I had 3 coaches my 4 years. We didn't really have a stable coach there, and so it was nice going somewhere that I was able to get like technical feedback and develop that way. And I just was like, that's all I thought about. I would skip a bunch of stuff so I could focus on that. Looking back, my parents must have spent a fortune in gas, but doing that all the time. That's just when it all developed. And by the end of my junior year, we ended up squeaking out a 60, and then that's when like the doors started opening for bigger and better stuff.
So what was the state record at the time?
Oh, state record is 66-10, something around there. But that was set a while back. The Class A record, I think, though, is like 63 high, something like that. I can't think of what it is right now. But
So did you want to, once you got into it, did you want to go Division I once you kind of started
I
figuring it
never
out?
cared, actually. Like,
So when you were going to these camps in Lincoln, was that kind of like your foot in the door with them? Like if you did go, did you want to throw for Nebraska? Was that always kind of your
no.
okay?
You just want to get better.
I just wanted to get better. Like, I was very like internally motivated. I wasn't like, I feel like some kids are so obsessed with like recruiting and like I need to go Division I, and like Division I is like the goal. Mine was I want to throw 60 feet. How am I going to do that? And then once I got to 60 feet, it was all right. We did that. Now on the next goal, I wanted to break the school record, which was 62.3.5. And the other stuff just kind of came along with that. And so being at Nebraska's atmosphere, like I really enjoyed the Devaney. It felt like home. But I actually never grew up a Nebraska fan in anything. If anything, I was that one kid at Old Chicago during the game that was cheering for the other team sometimes to irritate the crowd in elementary school. But no, it wasn't even until my senior year in January that I even considered Nebraska. And I ended up committing on my birthday, and then I ended up signing 2 weeks after that. So it was kind of unconnected, but it all kind of worked out.
So when you went from, because we'll look at the workout part of it. When you went from 50 to 60, that's when you started 531.
Yeah.
Now, was there any specific lift in there that you think helped get your throw, or just overall training, actually having a good training program, or was there a specific lift that you think really took you from that 50 to 60?
So looking back at that time, like now with my understanding of like all the different documents and like different manuals I've read, I could tell you the answer, what would be correct. But I think back then, I honestly think it was squat. Like I was obsessed with getting my squat up. And now keep in mind, I still squatted about, on my toes like this. I squatted down probably this much. And my form was terrible, but I was quarter squatting 555 for eights when I was even into my junior year, beginning of my senior year. And I actually have a bunch of videos of it's just like little short squats, and like the technique's bad. Like it's really a technical, terrible lift, not even a full lift. But I think I was able to just get that top end strong enough.
Yeah, sometimes sport specific, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You're doing something very specific to what you're doing.
Maybe I did something really smart and I didn't even know. But
maybe being a shitty lifter really paid off.
Yeah, and then I can't get into a front rack, so my cleans were just more of triple extension, kind of throw it up, throw it down, and not even really catching it. But we did a lot of I really stuck to the AMRAPs at the end of the 531 program, and I tried to apply it to like cleans. I tried to apply it to snatch. And then I did a lot of overhead pressing and like seated behind the neck pressing as like accessories. And I think just overall, I was able to get myself strong enough that it didn't matter if my shot put technique was pretty bad. I had enough explosiveness, and I even did a lot of like hurdles and stuff like that. I would run sprints up the hills on my own. I even practiced I don't know if you guys are familiar with the glide technique where you kind of just like jump back and throw. Mm-hmm. I would do that backwards up a hill to try to work on my explosiveness out of the start of it. And I think just a blend of looking at things at YouTube and just like, all right, looks good. And trying new things, I was able to kind of give myself that sport specific strength. And that's what really gave me that huge boost.
What did your body weight change from 50 to 60?
30 pounds. I was like 275 probably my junior year. But then that's when I thought I needed to get the 300 pounds. So then my senior year, I was eating 6 meals a day, wake up a little before 4, eat 2 peanut butter jellies, go to the Y. I would get to school. My mom would have me pack the little thing of like a thermos, but it was full of scrambled eggs, so it stayed warm.
Yeah.
So I would have scrambled eggs, and then I'd have one of those high-cal Gatorade protein bars in class, and then during lunchtime, I'd eat 2 to 4 of the main entrees of lunch. So I had to thank my dad for making sure my lunch money was fulfilled.
Man.
And
this is just glorious.
And then at the end of the day, I'd eat 2 like Uncrustables or something like that before practice. Then I'd go throw. I'd come home, eat dinner. And my sister played club volleyball, and she wouldn't come home till like probably 8 o'clock. I'd get home at 6. So when she would get home, I'd eat dinner with her again. And then I would make my protein shake. It was like 2 or 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream in the blender, and my mom got me the peanut butter powder, like not the actual peanut butter.
Oh, the PB2?
Yeah, and so I just dumped that in the blender, throw some chocolate syrup in, and hit blend.
No protein.
That's called a shake. no protein part.
Yeah, so I was eating about 6 meals a day consistently.
So he was carb loading a lot.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to drink as much water as I could. So I was drinking probably almost 2 gallons of water a day. I don't know why I thought that was necessary, but I was the kid carrying the jug around. So and then eventually, the week I broke 300, it was like October of my senior year. I weighed 297 on a Monday. I texted my friends that it's happening this week. And so we actually planned out. We were going to Valentino's when they had the buffets.
Oh, the grand buffets were so good.
So Friday night after lifting, I went home. Well, after throwing, I went home, took a shower. All my friends and I carpooled on over to Valentino's. And I remember just eating as much as I could eat. And we got home, got the scale out. It said 303 and the scale broke. And then I've maintained above 300 pounds pretty much ever since, if I had to guess.
Dude, Valentino's was so good.
It's disappointing that they're not really around.
The little pasta thing they had just floated in butter. I don't even know. It was like stuffed with cheese.
I don't even remember.
Their
I just
cheeseburger
remember
pizza.
Going,
Dude, it's so good.
going through, gotta get a little of everything.
It was the one over on 108th was like the best one. That was
I'm
the
having
big one.
flashbacks right now.
You probably love that.
Back,
Oh man, let me tell
back when you,
what,
back when you were
man.
gross.
Tell you what, I did love me some.
I bet your
Valentinos.
300 and his 300 looked way different.
Yeah, I look like a ball.
I don't
So-
know. Yeah, looking back, it was one of those.
What do you weigh now?
340 is what the scale said outside. I guess this year at the Olympic trials, I was 365. So we're slipping down.
And you're 6'3".
6'5"
Oh, you're 6'5".
on a good day. If I do some reverse hypers, maybe. But after a back squat, probably like 6'3.5". But
Yeah.
somewhere in that range.
Did you end up? So you didn't end up breaking your high school record though.
Oh, I did. So my senior year at our district track meet, my last throw at Westside High School, I threw 62.6, something like that, and broke the high school, my school record.
So is that your own record or the school's record?
School's record.
Oh, so you hold the school record right now at Millard North then?
And then I actually was tied for the Class A district track meet record, and I was tied with my future strength coach at Nebraska, we found out. But my throws coach at Nebraska's son, my freshman and sophomore year of college, he actually just broke that record a couple years ago. So now I'm tied for second for the District A record. So
That's cool. So then you get to January of your senior year. Now, were you heavily recruited by a lot of schools, a lot of Division I schools?
So yeah, I was I only really responded to Division I for the most part. My junior year, because recruiting rules were different, D3 schools could contact you your junior year, and Nebraska Westland reached out to me, and I was really excited because it was it's college, and the first track meet of the year for high school is an indoor meet at Nebraska Westland for our school. So I've been there a few times, and I was really excited. And then they invited, they had a recruiting banquet in Omaha where they just invited a bunch of recruits to come out, learn about the school. And I was really excited. And then I realized that was a day I was going to go to Lincoln to throw. I remember arguing with my mom, like, Mom, I cannot miss this one practice. What if this one practice is what gives me that extra inch to break the school record? But she ended up forcing me to go to the recruiting visit, which in all honesty was really nice. I got to learn more about, kind of just learn a whole new atmosphere of recruiting and that type of thing. But after summer of my junior year, I did a little trip to Nebraska, and they pretty much told me I was going to be a walk-on, so I didn't have any interest in it. And I made a Instagram my junior year that I was kind of just uploading. It was videos of me throwing and lifting. It's still out there if you want a nice laugh. It's Kev_the_Sultan_of_shot put or something around those lines. And it's the most cringe thing you'll find. It's a whole bunch of half squats, a whole bunch of failed reps, just real ugly. But I actually got a lot of traction from that. To a lot of coaches looking back probably are like, what the heck? How's this kid throwing so far? And
Well, they're probably like, well, he has a lot of raw ability. If we could probably teach him a thing or two.
yeah, that's pretty much how that happened.
Did you post your day of eating on there? Because that would have been impressive also.
Oh no, that was on the low. We didn't want to have our secret recipe. But, no, so it was really interesting. My first big recruiting thing was from Iowa actually. And
Okay.
all of a sudden, Iowa's coach DM'd me responding to something on my story or something like that. I remember coming home like, Mom, Iowa's throws coach just DM'd me. Like, whoa, Division I never even thought about that. And then they asked me to come on a visit. And I was also looking at Liberty University. That was a private school in Lynchburg. They were close by, and I had a few friends that were going to go there. And they had a beautiful campus, brand new indoor facility. And I kind of we had a meet out there for the summer track, so we kind of looked around, and they started recruiting me after I reached out to them. And the assistant coach at Nebraska, my junior year for track camps, left and became the Southern Mississippi throws coach. So in a matter of a week, I went from whatever, I'm just trying to throw the school record to I had 3 visits lined up. And so that was a whole crazy experience. And from that point on, a few Division II or not very many Division III, mostly Division IIs were reaching out to oh, do you want to come on a visit? And I was like, no, thank you. I appreciate the message, but I'm not interested.
So then, at what point does Nebraska come into the picture?
January.
So right at the end, basically.
Yeah. So, because I was still going to those track camps, and I ended up looking at Iowa first in like November, and that's where I learned how like a Division I recruiting visit feels like, or they pay for you to come out. You get to spend 2 or 3 nights in a hotel, depending on travel things, and you get to go to all these little events, and it's a real fun time. And January rolls around, and I'm trying to debate where I wanted to go. Southern Mississippi offered me a full scholarship, which is pretty unheard of in track because there's only like 12.3 scholarships for the whole entire team. They just divide you up pieces. And they told me that they didn't really have anyone on the team. It was a really small team. And the coach who coached me throughout my junior year at those camps told me that, Kevin, you tell me what events you want to do. I will recruit around you. And I'll have a full scholarship. I don't have to worry about the cost of tuition or getting student loans. And so I was really considering that school. But it was kind of, they wouldn't show me the dorm at my visit. And a couple other things like that.
That's a red flag.
But it was one of those, I really liked the coach, and I knew they didn't have like some of the funds that like Iowa had, but I was very much considering for the coach. And I was at track camp, and the Nebraska coach was like, oh, you need to come on an official visit. We only had 5 of them. I burned 3, and I didn't want to waste one in Nebraska because remember I said my junior year, they pretty much told me I'd be a walk-on.
Mm-hmm.
And
So hold up before you get. Yeah. So what do you mean? You're limited to 5 visits?
5
official visits. So you can take as many unofficial visits as you want. So you could technically go to every school ever.
But for them to pay for you to come in and all that.
To pay.
Is that still the rule now with all the new stuff going on, or is it?
Who knows? You might only get a couple million to go visit somewhere now. I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I guess you only had 5 official visits.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and then when you transfer, that rule, like there's something about like you get like 2 or you get to use leftover or something. The rules have changed so much in 5 years. Like I can't even keep track of the rules now. Like coaches can reach out to you like your junior year, not your senior year only, like it was for me. But no, it wasn't until like that camp in January, and I told him I was considering a couple other schools, and he gave me a little tour of the Advantage, just him and I walking around, and he was like, Kevin, you've been here 3 days a week for almost 2 full seasons, and he was like, it's close to home, and he's like, would you be interested in an official visit? And then I remember it clicked. I had this gut feeling like, oh, Kevin, you've rooted against Nebraska for so long just to be the anti-hero, Like, are you gonna actually end up here now? And I was like, shoot, like one of those like, well, that makes sense financially to come here, and a couple other things. But I actually had a stand throw at 60 feet at practice at track camp, seen by the head throws coach in Nebraska, like right before that. And as soon as he saw 60 feet from just to like stand there, turn, twist, throw, when it went 60 feet, which would win state like the year before, that's when the doors started opening. He's like, okay, we'll get you a partial scholarship to come here. And I called my dad on the phone, and he told me, Kevin, I'd spend the same amount of money on in-state tuition as I would to fly out to Mississippi or Virginia, wherever you would go. And he offered to help pay for my college if I stay at Nebraska, because my whole family's around this area. And like one of those, like as soon as he said that, I kind of felt guilt of I could be getting my school paid for. And then once he told me he wouldn't buy me a new car with the money he saved up for college if I went somewhere with a full scholarship, then I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not getting a new car out of this, then, I don't see why we wouldn't just go to Nebraska. And so I ended up calling him 2 days later, and I told him that I'm committed. I really want to do it. I was super, like, I had that gut feeling of I knew this was the right thing to do. I felt really bad for all the other coaches who I was really seriously considering, because I didn't want them to feel like I was all talk, like I was just telling them what they want to hear, but I actually believed I wanted to go to those other places. And then I ended up signing on my visit and make it all official, and I haven't looked back since.
So did they give you a half scholarship, or?
I was actually on 11% until my senior year, so that's like, or 13%. It was only textbooks.
That's all they can give for the track team?
Well, for me, think of it this way. So you have 12.3 for the whole team, and they do a lot of recruiting to kids from Europe. They do a lot, or Africa, like all over the world, Australia. Like on the throws team alone, they had almost all the continents covered. But the tuition those kids have to pay is insane. So a lot of times if you're recruiting one of those kids, you're going to have to give them a full for them to want to come here. And so if you're an in-state kid, they'll try to waive you with you can be a walk-on, but tuition is so much cheaper for you compared to if you were a partial scholarship out of state. And so one of those, I worked out. My dad and I talked about it, and we were like kind of like, you know, price matching. Okay, like what would 30% out of state at Iowa look like compared to like, you know, 10% Nebraska, like things like that. And one of those, it sounds kind of bad, but compared to seeing what a lot of other kids that I knew on the team were dealing with, I had it pretty good. And you unlock all the perks of scholarship.
So what's the perks of scholarship? Is that like the food, like the dining hall and all that stuff?
Like little things, like different policies. So like COVID kind of screwed a lot of things up with planning and rules. And so training table used to be at free breakfast, free lunch for all student athletes. And then if you're on a meal plan, you got dinner for free, or you paid like $5. And then COVID hit, all that stuff changed. And then it turned into everyone had free lunch and dinner was free for scholarship. And you had to pay for it if you didn't have a scholarship. So you could be on 1%, you would get free dinner for the whole year.
Oh,
Yeah. So I made my money back that way. But
Well,
In food, I'm sure you did.
I'm
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
oh yeah, it used to be the golden ages. The first couple of years there. No, like we would have prime rib on Monday. Like we would have ribeye and lobster on Tuesday, and I can't even remember what else. Like it was like my freshman year was just set. There was something really good, and everyone loved it. And then on Fridays they would cater pizza in. So then you'd have mellow mushroom or whatever pizza catered in as well. So the secret was you would go through the line, eat dinner, and then go back through with your to-go box, load that baby up with your prime rib, a few slices of pizza, or 2 to-go
so
boxes.
was that all you could eat when you like the prime rib and the?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, so think about it. If you just finished a full day of back squats, some cleans, some sprints, and throws on Friday, you're feeling pretty beat up, and okay, well, it looks like I'm taking as much pizza as I can in this box home after dinner for the weekend and all that. And then COVID really changed budgets, and they changed a lot of things. And it still was really amazing, but no, the first couple of years was nice. And having the scholarship gave you little benefits when they had to like try to make restrictions. And then my 4th year, they added the Invest Fund is what they called it. You got about $5,300 transferred to your account if you didn't have a bill on your account. And you had to be scholarship for that, and it was kind of like the NIL type deal, just from the school.
So you're making $5,000 a month your senior year?
No, like just for the year.
Oh, for the year. I was like, oh god damn.
I wish. Maybe if I played a different sport, I could do that. But
So you said, and then what'd you have your senior year? Did you get more scholarship your senior year?
yeah, my senior year. So one of those, like I was fine with my scholarship. Like sometimes I was kind of bummed because I would see a couple of kids that were below me that would have a lot more scholarship than I did, but that I could still outperform them. And then it was a little rough start. I actually they pretty much cleaned staff for coaches at the end of my sophomore year. And so we got a new coach, and you can't just tell your new coach, oh, can I have some more money, please? You know, because then they're trying to recruit kids, and it's just a real big mess. And then on my flight home from Indoor Nationals, my coach sat by me. He's like, hey, Kevin, you're getting a big bump. And so then I met with the office, and they boosted my scholarship up a ton for my senior year. So a lot of my tuition was covered, and it all worked out. So it was really nice of them to do that for me. I really was very appreciative for that.
Yeah. So the NIL stuff, did you really get much into the NIL?
I mean, after you wouldn't give me a free shirt to post Omaha Barbell, not really. No, I did a little bit. My senior year, I had a couple of things, but it was kind of like, it's very weird for throwing since there's not like a whole bunch of traction in that space. Like if you played football, if you're, like really successful or like a skilled position that your name gets called a lot, like, yeah, you're going to make a butt ton of money. There's a whole bunch of matching Hellcats in the parking lot outside and always doing burnouts. Somebody made me feel so jealous. But no, I had a couple, there's like a little like agency type deal you can sign up for, and the school had one for you, but they didn't care about non-sports. So to my experience, I never got any help from them. But I had a couple things with like the McDonald's for like this Nebraska's branch, and so I posted about some promotion for get your little Nebraska flags, and so that was pretty fun. And then I got an Adidas one through that, and they gave me a pair of the Husker Ultra Boosts, and they gave me like a really nice gift card. And the deal was to buy a full Adidas wardrobe, and then you get a photo shoot and those shoes, and you get to keep whatever you bought, and you got the free pair of Ultra Boosts. So that was really nice. And
That's
then
cool.
I had one at CVS. I had promote some lotion, and so
Hey, JV.
yeah, I was just like, I had to try so hard to be a little content creator, posting like, does anyone else get dry hands from chalk and all that? And I had too many of my friends kind of heckling me in my comment section, like, oh, I want some, like, or like, sorry, Kev, I only shop at Walgreens. So I had to like delete their comments for some of the things I signed, but no. One of those, there's a lot of little trolls in your own little friend group.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, please stop. I don't want to get in trouble for this. But nothing too crazy for NIL.
When you have some of the NIL stuff, like Tanner and I have talked about it before, and I don't know how, like, you weren't super deeply involved in it, but do they do anything with those kids, like taxes? Like, if you get a bunch of money,
They have classes for that.
Okay, I was wondering.
Nebraska's athletic department will hold your hand if you want them to hold your hand. Like, there is a billion resources out there for all their athletes. They help you find jobs. They help like you're set if you go there. So even if like you're someone who's only like a walk-on per se, if you look at it from, that's a butt ton of money in tuition, but the amount of benefits you would receive, like, I never understood why a lot of like talented kids would skip D2 and walk on at Nebraska when I was in high school. I thought that was just kind of like, you have a full scholarship to go play at a Kearney or something like that. Why would you give that up? But after kind of seeing all the bonuses and different things you can do, like for NIL, they'd help you calculate out your taxes and stuff like that. And my dad's a big numbers guy, so we kind of did that all on our own and kind of skip those classes. But
Because I was always wondering, like, are these kids just going to get to the end of the year and be like, oh shit, like I owe a ton of money?
I think a lot of schools they do, but I think Nebraska has their.
oh, they're on
programs.
top of all that stuff. No, it's something like even like the international kids sometimes, if they have, like, there's a lot of restrictions on jobs with their visas and stuff like that, but they'll have like little classes that they'll help them do their taxes, where if they were working they have to work on campus somewhere, so if they're like working at a cafeteria, they'll like help them calculate taxes. And like one of those, like, they're making sure like that you have to pay taxes and that you fulfill all those requirements. And they, like, one of those, they have a little manual, like, mandatory like financial classes where you have to show up on like a Sunday night in the stadium, and those are always kind of unfortunate, just because it's Sunday night, you want to relax, and you have to go to a meeting about you have to pay taxes someday or right now, and they would force you to go to these things. But looking back, it was like a lot of kids I think have been helped by that.
So you do your 4 years at Nebraska.
5.
I see. You did throw your fifth in. Did you redshirt, or just because you did your master's?
No, it's because a global pandemic robbed me of my
that's
outdoor
right.
season. So
So you did 5 years, and you were a 3-time All-American,
yep.
and then you went to the Olympic trials. Now, just the 1 year, or did you?
Just this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was my last beat representing Nebraska, so I was really happy to do it at the highest stage I could achieve.
And then where did you place at the Olympic trials?
Oh, I think 21st.
Out of 21?
No, so 24. No, but honestly, it gets really intense.
I mean, that's the best. I mean, even if it really is 24,
That's the best of
24 are the best throwers in the country.
Well, like the Olympic trials for the U.S. is probably more difficult to get top 3 in than the actual Olympics itself. So think of it this way. I don't know if you guys have too much familiarity with like the throw, like shot put and all that thing. So we have, for the U.S., we have Ryan Krauser. He's the greatest shot putter ever. The marks he's achieving, people thought were unachievable to be done clean, and he's surpassed what we thought was possible. And he just continues to blow people's minds of what he's able to do. And so he's broke the world record a handful of times. I think he has, I can't remember. Numbers change so much in this. Like at least 5 of the top 10 throws in world history are his now.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, so that's one spot. Like, all right, you can have it, No one's messing with him. And then we have Joe Kovacs, who has, like, the number 2 throw in world history now. And that guy, I'd highly recommend looking him up. He's a rogue athlete now and one of the strongest people on earth. I think he could have a unequipped bench press world record if he wanted it. I 100% believe that. But he also throws over that unobtainable world record. Consistent, like he's done it a couple of times, and he's also gotten silver at the world championships. He's won a couple world championships, and so he's one of those top guys in history. So we have that guy too. So 1, 2 out of the way. Now you have third place. That's all you have, and then the U.S. has like 3 guys in the top 12 in the world, or something like that, or 4 guys top 12 in the world, and fighting for that third spot. And it's not like it's an open spot either. They're like, you know, some of the best in the world. So you come to trials, and it's not like you can have like they can kind of coast, you know, like, oh, Olympics are in a couple weeks, I can just kind of take this off, go through a heavy training cycle. Like you almost have to have like a little short peak and jump back up for the actual Olympics.
So they only take top 3. So when you guys like qualify or get invited to the trial, you already know like you're not going basically then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unless like one of those guys like dies on the way there.
And then the other like 5 guys also, like if they all were like one accident or something, or
Because they take alternates. Is it top 3 and then do they take any alternates?
they might. I'm not too sure on the rules for that. I think they might. I think so. There's like a bunch of rules. Like you have to hit a qualifying mark to go, or a world ranking spot. And the world ranking system is probably the most confusing thing ever, because it's not like your PR. It's a point system. So like a college meet has like no points associated with it, but like Drake Relay is like a bigger like invitational that pros will compete in, might be worth like a C rank. And then something like the Olympic trials might be a B rank, but all these world championships or like these big invitationals are an A rank. And then there's a scale based on the distance you throw, the place you get, and who else is at that meet. So you either have to be top 32 in the world and that, or hit the auto qualifying mark. And that makes you eligible for the Olympics. And then you have to hit top 3 at the trials to go too.
So how'd you get to the trials?
There's an auto qualifying mark you can hit, or you have to be top 24 in the U.S. to go to that.
Which one were you?
Top 24.
That's impressive.
I was close to auto qualifying, but I just didn't quite get it there. So I was really excited. I was on the edge for a while of, am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? Are enough people going to PR and pass me? Or am I going to squeak by? So that was a little uncertainty for a while. Like, I know my work computer was just about on a daily basis. The recommended link was the ranking system. I was checking to see if I was going. But, yeah, so it's kind of a pain to get there for the Olympics. And I'm very actually fortunate. I'm really good friends with the guy who got 3rd for the U.S., and he made it to 2020's Olympics. And some people kind of saw him as like the 3rd spot's still open, but he ended up throwing in the like mid 22s this year, like in meters, so over 70 feet. And so he also had some of the best throws in the world too. So that 3rd spot, you really got to be in there. And if you represent any other country in the world, like probably most of the guys at the U.S. trials will be on the Olympics somewhere. Where if, like even this year, like I don't know if I'm just trying to pat myself on the back or kind of just one of those what if moments, but if I was from a different country and this last year, if I would have competed in more of like the professional caliber meets and thrown the same results, I think I would have made it in world points for the rankings for Olympics.
So what was your best throw coming out of college then? Or even at the what's your best throw?
1989 in meters.
This is
Touch over
America.
65 feet.
I was gonna say, this is America. You can go feet.
Well, like in college, they switched to metric, and then like your freshman year, it's so confusing. And then you get to a point, that's all you can think about for distance, and you have to try to convert back and forth.
So 65 feet?
Yeah, touch over 65.
And that Krauser, what's his best throw?
Oh, great question. 23 something.
America.
Great question. I think it's a touch over 75 feet. Yeah, here.
I mean, that's a great. I mean, 10 feet is a big gap between you two, but it's still like.
Yeah, here I'll look it up.
That's crazy. Now, did you do anything with discus at Nebraska, or you just threw shot?
Great question. What did I train the discus? No. Did for kind of my coach's comedic relief throw the discus? Yes.
So it was not your event by any means.
No.
I saw you through the javelin.
Like one time in high school, that was kind of a mess. It was one of those. It was an open summer meet. It was for fun, but no javelin.
Hammer throw?
Absolutely not. I hated that.
That is a definite skill set though. The hammer throw. I mean, that is a very specific skill set.
Yeah, it's not natural. Like you have to learn a certain way. A lot of the fundamentals of the hammer throw are kind of the opposite of how you think of shot put.
Okay.
Like in shot put, you want to think about you're trying to get your body ahead, like your hips ahead of the ball, so that you have a nice elastic reaction to get through it. Compared to the hammer throw, you're trying to get the ball ahead of you and counter it. And I don't know, hammer I was never interested in it. And it didn't really help me.
Well, after almost killing people throwing discus, I'm sure you had a little hesitancy.
It was fine. Hammer's scary, but no. With my freshman year, I switched from the glide to the spin. So I was so focused on trying to spin. That's all I wanted to focus on. Then we had a global pandemic. We got sent home. So I could only work on what I kind of knew. And then there's so many restrictions my sophomore year on what training was like, what practice was like, what lifting
That's so
was
stupid.
like. Yeah, it was a mess. COVID itself during the year was awesome. I would go do class in the morning online. Then one of my buddies would meet me at the middle school shot put circle because Miller North covered their track with hurdles and caution tape, so you couldn't use their facilities.
Lame.
And I actually remember there was 2 cop cars that would pull up and kind of park whenever I would throw there during that time. So I wasn't trying to cause any problems. I just wanted to, throw my little 16-pound rock and have fun. So I just started. Elkhorn was more open about it, so I kind of sneak out there, and then I would come here to lift. And one of my buddies had a little lake in his backyard, so we kind of float around in the summer. And so it was nice to relax after training, but I was really able to dial in my training, and I honestly had some big strides in my technique and strength during that time. And it wasn't until just all the restrictions going back to school that I really had speed bumps.
Because you ended up, training-wise, you ended up squatting 7 something, right?
Yeah, my junior year I got 765.
And then you benched.
I got this last year is when I PR'd and bench. I think I hit 500 on a board a couple of different times. I've done 475, and I think I did 455 for a double, maybe triple. I can't remember.
And then I saw you just muscle snatch 315.
Yeah, that was some of my best work, if I say so myself. Just because
It was the nastiest looking power snatch.
I threw it on the ground and caught it off the bounce when I finished the rep.
He was showing me the videos.
And then you had a hang clean, 405. You missed it, right? Or was it 4?
No, I've gotten 405 a handful of times. I've done 415. I've missed.
Because the one video you miss it, then you get it, and it looks kind of like a reverse.
I mean,
curl.
if we're gonna say hang clean or reverse curl,
More like a dynamic reverse curl.
yeah, there you go.
Still
Dynamic
impressive
reverse
either way.
curl.
As long as you
think-
throw dynamic in there, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I was a little overconfident. I tried to get 455, so I got up to 415 because that'd be a PR for testing week, and this is all my junior year. And then I was like, okay, 455, and then I pull it up, and I just don't get under it. Try it again, still didn't get it. So I tried to jump down to 435, and my CNS was shot at that.
You train like Tanner does, just pick 40-pound jumps and then don't get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you never know if you're going to unless you try.
exactly.
He's feeling good that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you
carb loaded.
Yeah.
Got the ice cream shake
You had
before
one of those
practice.
protein shakes.
Protein.
So if you started eating that much better, with prime rib and all that stuff, and do you think that helped out a little bit?
Oh, I think so. And it
Did
was
they
nice
give you
that-
guys a nutrition plan, or
Yeah.
did they just?
So each sport has a registered dietitian, and they
Yeah.
have a bunch of credentials they have to get for that. They all
Did
have
you
to-
actually listen to him though, or was it kind of?
Oh yeah, we had
you did.
individual
Okay.
meetings. We got DEXA scans 6 times a year.
Really?
No, we were very well taken care of. We would last couple of years you even got your blood drawn in August, and they would do a whole test on your blood to figure out if you have any deficiencies in anything and what you need to do better. And
They said more ice cream.
no, they got rid of that, budget cuts. No, but I did for a couple of years. We had a correlation. When the football team would lose, we would lose our ice cream sandwiches.
Oh,
Not even exaggerating. We had the double Whopper. It was the chocolate chip cookie with the ice cream and the chocolate chip cookie on top. That was
So excited.
It was amazing.
And if they lost, you didn't
And
get
then
it.
they didn't restock them. I don't know if it was just a coincidence with
that was probably punishment.
So you
for
only
them.
had it half the time then.
Yeah, I was gonna say
My
with a
freshman
losing
year, we
season.
didn't have chocolate chip cookies very much. But
After they lose, you guys suck. We're not going to get these.
that's
No ice cream for you, losers.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was a little frustrating sometimes. But it happened more than just a coincidence. Like it was almost just like, okay, we're not getting.
Did you become a football fan then? Are you a Nebraska football fan now?
I met a lot of guys that are really awesome, and just the whole like you meet a bunch of cool people that are just really nice, and you want to see them succeed, and you see how hard they're working. So I'll root for Nebraska now compared to when I was little. But no, all those guys are nice. Matt Rule's awesome. He's walking down the hallway, says hi to everyone. He went to all the different sporting events for the year. So I remember the first track meets when he was announced as head coach. I was just got done warming up in my little corner of the Devaney, and I was walking to the indoor track ready to go. And I hear, "Good luck, big guy." And I turn around, there's Matt Rule sitting there on those. Oh heck, like this is one like the biggest like celebrities in Nebraska, you know. And it was one of those like, oh, he's here, and they would bring a bunch of the players to come watch, and you know, just seeing like the culture change and all the coaches are really friendly. It's one of those you can't like not root for those guys.
There you go.
Was it ever really competitive in the weight room with the football team?
We would never lift at the same.
You guys
place.
never lifted at the same time?
Yeah.
Did they put everybody's numbers up anywhere or anything? No.
My first couple of years, I was very interested in that because, like in high school, I wanted to be the strongest guy. My goal was when I get to Nebraska, I want to be the strongest guy there my freshman year. It did not happen, but
You tried.
we tried. But they football kind of gate kept those numbers. My first couple of years, they would have like some kind of like point system where it was like these are our highest performers in points, and I don't really remember. I don't know how to calculate the numbers because I was very not concerned, but you'd see all these hype videos that like someone squatting real heavy, and they would have like I don't know if they'd have more than 7 plates, maybe a little more, somewhere around those lines. And then they would have like 20 dudes around them, and they record from the top of the shoulders. You can't see their depth, and they're like getting held up, and that really bothered me. So that's what really made me have that desire of I'm going to squat all the way below parallel every time I squat, and when I max out, I'm still going to do that, and I'm not going to struggle. And I want to post it and be really nonchalant about it, kind of make myself feel good, kind of boost my ego, but it gave me something to work towards.
I'm sure the teams all know everybody's numbers, but that kind of surprises me that they don't put a little competition to do it like that.
They probably have internal.
Yeah.
They probably don't want everyone to know.
Yeah.
Just in case they have bad numbers.
Yeah. Oh man, the linemen in Nebraska can only squat 500 pounds. That's not good. That's probably what it's for. But I don't know. You know what I mean? You want to see the number, what everybody's doing, so you can kind of gauge yourself on.
Yeah, exactly. Then. And plus, they're always isolated. Like football does their own thing, and it's only become more isolated since they built that new facility, where football used to lift at the Nadamakan Sioux weight room, and like all that's just for them, and no one else gets to use their weight room. And now they have the new facility. They have their own training room now. Because we used to have like interlapping in the training room because like the Vanny has a weight room, but it's pretty small in comparison to like the Hawks over by the stadium. So a lot of times basketball, wrestling, women's basketball, volleyball. Actually, no, volleyball is at the Hawks, but one of those just trying to get all the sports in the right times that we kind of just bounce back and forth between weight rooms for a while, depending on time, and we didn't really it's not like we got to lift with them. It's not like I turn around and you see like Ty Robinson. I'm like, oh, hey, do you want to spot me on this, or can I spot you? Like none of that ever happened.
So you finished your career in Nebraska. You're a 3-time All-American. Big Ten Distinguished Scholar.
Yeah, we pulled that off my last year. So
you got the silver medal at the Big Ten.
Indoor and outdoor my senior year.
Nice. And then you were all academic.
Yep.
And then your athlete honor roll.
I believe so.
That's not bad.
Thank you. Yeah, last year was definitely intense. I got my master's in applied science. It was all online, which is really nice, so I could work at an internship. I'm very entrepreneurial minded. I like to have my own business someday. And I ended up getting in the right connections with the entrepreneurship department at school. And I got to work for a small business with a very successful entrepreneur. So I was able to work in the morning, go to practice, lift, eat, go like get my like little therapy done, and do all my schoolwork at night and on the weekend. So this last year's been extremely busy, but probably my like best year if I had to pick one.
And then you just got engaged.
Yep, I got engaged 6 days ago. So.
And then your fiance, she was a swimmer for Nebraska, you said?
She swam at Nebraska Westland for a year.
Okay. So she's competitive at least, or she's
competitive, yeah.
So what's the future for Kevin now? You gonna throw independent? You just gonna you gonna try maybe coach or do some clinics?
I'm
or?
doing private coaching. I'm thinking about doing some strongman at the Ed Cohen Super Meet on May 10th. I'm going to do that.
That'd be cool.
One of my former teammates, Berger, just signed up for powerlifting.
Okay.
And he's trying to get me to do powerlifting. But after talking to you the other day about my inability to go over under in the deadlift and my lack of grip strength and my hook grip's not working right now, I decided that I might as well just do the other stuff so I can use straps in the deadlift.
Strongman, you can use straps.
I think your athletic ability, you'd be really suited for the strongman stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. I've always been fascinated with strongman, and then during COVID, Brett got me in contact with Brian Benzel, and so I was able to use his sandbags and that type of thing, and I got pretty interested at that point.
Yeah, you'd be a great strongman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be.
You're the size.
We'll get the events, everything, all the weights figured out this month and get the sign up done.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to go up a little bit if he's involved.
I don't know about that. I've been kind of lacking in my training recently. Just more of I graduated in August, and then I was still working my internship, trying to find my next job, and I got that, and I'm training at the YMCA now, and that's a little different than Nebraska's facility. So we're trying to get that life balance back. So we're more consistent now, but.
They should like taper you guys down, like when you're almost done, like with the being an athlete, like at a Division I school. They should like send you like every like month to like a shittier weight room, so then when you're done, you're like used to the why, because you lose like all these great facilities, and you're just like, oh yeah, okay, this is way better than this last shitty place I trained at.
Yeah, no, that's one thing about being a thrower though, is like sometimes you have to be very like resourceful and just understanding what's going on. So like during COVID, they didn't want the sports intermingling. And so their solution was, in the indoor track, we have 2 like squat cages, and they brought out some like those little pen stands, you know, where it's like a little like L hook with legs, and they brought 2 pairs of those out. And that was our weight room for the entire track team, men and women, during COVID. You had 1 hour 3 times a week. And so we had to figure out how to use that. And dumbbells went up to 50 pounds. So our coach was able to let us borrow a 120 and like 140 dumbbell from the weight room with a share with someone. I can't remember what other sport. And so we just did a lot of like single arm pressing and stuff, which helped stability. But we were like fabricating stuff in the corner. Berger made a replica of those Rogue like plyo boxes. Him and his father-in-law bought the materials and had a little shop outside time that they built it. And so my sophomore year, I had to learn how to be really creative on how I'm going to get things done. So going to the Y now, if I want to do reverse hyper, I just stack up a couple of their plyo boxes, hold on to a barbell on the little power rack, and then I just try to pinch a med ball between my ankles, and that's my reverse hyper for now. So,
Hey, ingenuity, you got to do it sometimes.
yeah, I have to make it happen.
So if anybody wants to do any coaching with you, this is gonna be your little shout out. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you if they want any coaching? I mean, you're a 3-time All-American. I don't know why someone wouldn't want their kid to coach or go.
How many underscores are in this Instagram account now?
Oh no, that's different. No,
Is Sultan still in it?
Oh no, that was the old me. I actually stopped posting the day I
The old me.
No, that was the Kevin who half squatted. But no, just my Instagram B1G_Kev. I do some online coaching right now, but I actually have a guy in Omaha that I've been coaching a lot, and he's going to be really successful, I feel like, the next couple of years. And he's kind of my guinea pig in terms of my first little step in coaching.
Have you thought about doing like maybe a clinic in the summer, like a weekend clinic or something like that?
Yeah, I've done a couple before. I did one in Adams, Nebraska. I've done my sophomore year, I coached a whole summer series with our coaches. So I have a lot of experience coaching.
Good.
And I love coaching. I love the weight room. So it's something I could really enjoy.
Have you thought about doing the Highland Games? We talked about this.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of throwers, and that's kind of like the next step once they're done throwing.
I mean, Sean, you know Sean Betts. You've met Sean a few
Yeah.
times. He had a great time doing it. I mean, he traveled the world for years doing it.
Yeah. No, I know like he'd be a good resource to look out to if I was interested in that, but I don't know. I'm still figuring things out in terms of what I want to do in terms of training and right now I'm working on getting closer to 300. I think that'll be a good spot for me to be for a while. So one of those, just trying to fit back into society. No, for the first time ever, I got kicked off 3 roller coasters this summer. It's like they couldn't fit the harness on me, so that was kind of.
So your fiance had to go by herself?
We took my little cousins to Worlds of Fun.
I was just going to ask you which one it was at. They're fat shaming at Worlds of Fun. That's great.
There's
nice.
like some, as like Gabriel Iglesias would say, some people are a little husky. That they're a little squished to where when they sit down, like they kind of form into like wherever the harness is. And I'm pretty solid, so the harness is down. It just would not jam shut. And so like the Patriot, the one where you have like it's above you, so you have like the harness on. They couldn't get it down, so I had like 2 people jam me in there. And I could not breathe very like fully because my diaphragm couldn't expand because I was so contracted. And we're waiting for once we finished for the next little group to go, so our little cart could pull in to get off. And I was looking at Haley, I'm like, I cannot breathe. This is awful. And then she was just laughing at me. She's like, "It'll be fine." But so I was a little shooken up with that. The Mamba, fine. I get to the Prowler. And they can't fit the harness over my legs. And so then they're like waiting, trying to jam it down. And then like, "Sir, you have to get off." So, and all these people are looking at me. And I was like, dang. Like when does that ever happen?
And everybody's like, "Look at the fat kid."
Yeah. And then there were some like very large people that kind of got squished in and jammed in there. And like I one of those, I'm fine with it not being able to ride it. Like I don't want to be, you see all these tragedies of people not having the proper equipment on their like roller coasters and having like fatal accidents. And I was really terrified of that happening to me. So I was very glad they like told me like, "This is not a good idea. Get off."
Amber and I went on a ride one time, and it was like you sit next to each other, but the bars for both of you.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it clicked for me.
But not
so
her.
like she just has all this free space. She's like, "This doesn't seem right."
Yeah, no, I don't like things like that. But like Haley was offended. She was mad. She was like, "They can't do that to you." Like, that was just so rude of them.
I mean, but in all actuality, you kind of did it to them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
What was that? It was that old Louis Anderson comedy skit, and he's like, he was a big, like, not solid guy, and he's like, "The best time I ever have is when I go on vacation and I start walking up to the bungee jump platform. You see the guy on the radio, he's like, 'Oh, we got one coming up.' He's like, then I stop halfway through, let him sweat it a little bit, and I start walking up a little closer, like I'm going to ask him if I can bungee jump."
We had one trip. We took a couple of my teammates, and we went to Worlds of Fun to like the Oceans of Fun side, and they have those like big group tube slides. And I was with a couple other guys, and one of them, he was 6'9" and probably 320 at the time, and so I was about probably the same size I am now, about 340. And so we wanted to ride a tube together. And I think the max capacity for two was like 300 or something around those lines.
And they were like, "No."
Oh, like they didn't quite understand. They're like, "Okay, whatever." And we could just tell, like we both got bucked off at one point, just really down the tube. But there's stuff
That's
like
kind of,
that.
you don't want to fall off a water slide either. That's
No.
not, yeah.
Like the big group ones.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Like
Yeah.
him and I went by just the two of us because we fit within the weight requirements. We made everyone else ride somewhere else. I was not about to flip over the edge.
Yeah, that would not be good either.
No, I don't mess around with that.
Big life's hard.
It is, especially when I was at my biggest. Like flying was really bad. Like I had to have the aisle seat. Like that was just a standard. But like I would actually have a hard time breathing. Like when we would get up to max altitude. Like
Dude, you're not okay.
Yeah, I was fine. But no, I remember we actually got the charter to nationals, and I turned to like our sprints coach. I'm like, "Hey, coach, is it kind of hard to breathe in here?" And he's like, "Kevin, I'm very concerned." And our athletic trainers were sitting next to me anyways, so I was just like, "Hey, Raph,
Can we get that oxygen mask?
yeah,
out?
like they just have them like dispense the one little mask for me to wear for this flight." But no, so I was kind of I was really strong. I felt really explosive, but I was like, "Okay, we got to cut as soon as this is done." But yeah.
Yeah.
Plus
How-
getting rammed in by the little carts.
Yeah, that probably isn't fun either. Yeah. How did you fix your hip when you were in high school?
I met a physical therapist through my like club coach. He had a guy in Omaha that was a really good physical therapist. And I did a lot of like different like glute strengthening exercises. We didn't really do much pulling or any type of like banded hip stuff in the high school training program I was on for football. And so a lot of just like strengthening glutes and just like some like little PT exercises.
Because I think a lot of people have hip problems, so I mean that'd be helpful for.
Oh, yeah.
So you basically just made your glutes stronger and fixed your hips.
Yeah. And then I actually had a really bad hip problem in college. That was actually a huge setback for me. At the end, I guess fall of my junior year. So the current Nebraska coach started that year. They hired him, and he started in August. And everything was turning normal for training with the COVID restrictions are pretty much gone. And so like we had that, and it was going good. And I had this practice. Coach was recruiting in Sweden, I think. And I had something weird happen to my hip, and that same feeling I had when I was like getting off the line, football happened in my throw. We were adjusting my right leg when I would like kick it, go in the center of the spin, and that was happening, and it like freaked me out, and it was bugging me. And so I kind of just wrote it out, and Coach was in Sweden at that point, and so when he got back, I was gonna like try to figure out what's going wrong. And then I got COVID, and he got COVID, and it was just this huge gap happened. So like this whole 4-week block of training kind of got flushed down because I was trying to get by. My hip hurt real bad, and I ended up having a bunch of problems with it. And we saw the orthopedic surgeon about it, and he didn't see anything wrong. He just told me to toughen up, and you'll be fine.
It's good.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. So I was really mad about that, and our trainer at the time, the team doctor, put me on a prescription anti-inflammatory. So we kind of just medicated it and hoped for the best.
It just fixed itself then, eventually?
No. I actually had like a GI bleed for my anti-inflammatories my junior year. We were at a meet in Texas, and I felt terrible. And then I stopped taking them. My hip hurt real bad. And we just got a new athletic trainer who believed in breathing exercises. And it's like a physical therapy type way of you do different like little movements, but you're really concentrating on breathing out, expanding your diaphragm, and then breathing in, and just kind of like like pulling your stomach in. And we would do these different movements, and it would help you like realign your body. It sounds really funky, but some kids wouldn't do it, and they say like, oh, like this is just snake oil. This is not going to fix everything. But once I started doing those exercises, it's gone. And
Really?
Oh yeah, I was super thankful for our athletic trainers we had. They ended up, like I thought I was done. I couldn't run. Whatever I would start running, it would hurt real bad. Squats were fine, thank goodness. So I had that to look forward to. But like throwing, it hurt to spin, and I almost had like an addiction to these anti-inflammatories. Like there was one practice where I couldn't take them, and I was shaking at practice because my hip was bugging me, and it would always when that right leg would hit in the middle, and when all that weight would go on it. And so I was just like touching and like switching my legs really fast and just missing the throw. And I was telling my coach, coach, I don't know if I can do this. My legs hurt, like my leg hurts. And my coach did a great job of showing me some tough love at the time. And like, Kevin, suck it up, you'll be fine. But looking back, like he's very, very like specific. He thinks through how he says things, and everything's like a calculation to him. And so I thought he was just being mean to me, and I was really just irritated with him at the time. But I was able to kind of that little like eventually a little mental breakthrough of, okay, my hip's going to hurt, but we can kind of manage that. And then the other side, the trainers did a great job of fixing my hip. And so it was a very stressful time. And I was worried that was the end of my athletic career, actually.
So do you still do the exercises?
Every once in a while I'll do them. Since I'm not like sprinting all the time anymore or doing any like practice was like 4 hours a day. So since now it's like, hour and a half, 2 hours at the gym is one thing compared to 4 hours, 4 times a week or 5 times a week. But no, I like the breathing exercises and that type of thing is like an absolute game changer for me.
Nice. You guys got anything else?
I'm good.
I think so.
We appreciate you doing it, man. You got a
thank
cool
you.
story. It was, I mean, it's not every day we get to have, a 3-time Division I All-American thrower to talk to.
Well, thank you. I was super excited when you asked to have me on the show.
I think the most exciting thing was that he's a Valentino's connoisseur like myself.
Who didn't like the Valentino's Grand Buffet?
Yeah, I mean,
You guys have a lot in common.
Yeah, I tell you what, those protein shakes, it reminds me a lot of,
Your protein shake.
Fat Chris.
Yeah, Chris used to be like over 300.
Yeah, but I was not athletic at all. Not at all.
But
And they could squish me into the roller coaster.
On the roller coaster.
That has happened to me. The dude comes over and I remember being at Worlds of Fun and I got on. I can't remember what roller coaster. It was a lot. I'm a lot older than you, obviously. So I can't. It might have been like the Timberwolf or like the Orient Express or something at the time. And the thing would come down and then there was a belt that comes up between your legs and they would clasp it there. Well, the thing came down and I'm trying to get it clasped there and I couldn't do it. And the guy just comes over and like grabs the top of it and like puts his feet on it and like another guy comes up, clasps me, and I'm sitting there like,
Yeah.
all right, let's do it. And that was my roller coaster experience. And then also the whole time you're thinking, man, what is this? Is this thing fat kid rated? Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it here or not. I get ragdolled out of this roller coaster. There I am on
I
the
would just
evening.
hold on to the handles real
Yeah,
quick. I was
I'm
actually
on-
using a hook grip on the handles just for the electric project.
just in case. Yeah. I feel your pain.
All right, man. Well, hopefully you have good luck with all your future endeavors. You're getting married soon. Hopefully you can do some more coaching and, be an entrepreneur. Obviously, it's something you're looking to do.
Yeah.
But we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, follow, share. We're on the YouTubes, all the audio platforms. And we'll see you guys next time.